Sahanavavatu Sahanau bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Good evening, good morning. Welcome back. First of all, wishing you a wonderful, prosperous, healthy, contented 2023. May you all be blessed.
Thank you.
Hope all of you had a great time of holiday season. It's always important to get recharged. So hopefully all of you got some rest and recharged. So with that, we can get started. Today we are starting a new chapter, chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita. Personally, I have a lot of connection with this chapter because this is the first chapter that I studied in Bhagavad Gita. This is the first chapter that kindled my interest in Bhagavad Gita. And this is such a wonderful chapter, only 30 verses, but very interesting chapter because this will clarify a lot of misunderstanding about Ishvara. So without any further delay, let's get, today what we are doing is we are going to do a quick introduction of the chapter and we will cover 3 verses and then we'll have a short Q&A. So this is the program, and my request is please try to follow this chapter as much as possible because this is going to help you in understanding Upanishads. This is going to help you in understanding Ishvara. Mind you, the Vedantic approach is God not merely believed in, God needs to be understood. So when you say, I love somebody, if I ask you to love somebody whom you do not know, how is it practically you can love him? It's impossible. So suppose you want to get connected with somebody, better you understand him. Otherwise, you may pray God only as a means to get something else. As a broker, you may approach God, but nothing more than that. So if you really want to get connected with God, if you really want to stay in touch with God, if you want God to play an important part in your life, better let's understand God. Otherwise, practically it is impossible. Chapter is very important from that perspective. I'm sorry, somebody is not muted. Okay, thank you. Okay, so without further delay, let's get started. So we covered up to chapter 6. So let's take a pause and try to understand a loose organization of the Bhagavad Gita. As you all know, Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. There are multiple ways you can classify these chapters, right? One usual way we do is the first chapter is the context of the Gita. Second chapter is the summary of the Gita. 3 to 17 is the elaboration of those topics, and 18 is a recap. That is one way of organizing the content of the Gita. There are two other ways you can organize. The first sixth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, it is known as Shatka. Shatka means a group of 6. Right? That's all. A group of 6 chapters. So the Bhagavad Gita, if you group the 18 chapters into 3 buckets, there are 3 Shatka. Right? So the first Shatka is chapter 1 to 6. That is what we covered in our previous, up until the previous class. So if you really look at what exactly is the major topic that was covered in that first chapter, predominantly, as I said, like this is not a crystal clear classification, but predominantly the first 6 chapters covered about the individual, Atma. If you look at the first chapter, the major topic of the first chapter was the problem statement of not the God, but the problem statement of an individual. The second chapter, we understood the nature of the Atma, the individual, and also we understood the Lakshana of Sthita Prajna, meaning a man of realization. And also we were introduced the Karma Yoga. And chapter 3 is again Karma Yoga. Chapter 4 is Karma Yoga plus a little bit of knowledge about Atma, not about the God, but about the Atma. Chapter 5 is also about the knowledge of the Atma. And chapter 6 was meditation. So the 6th chapter, the major content were Jiva Surupam, the nature of the individual, Atma. Then the Karma Yoga was there, and also a little bit of Upasana Yoga, the meditation. So mainly the first 6th chapter was focusing on the individual. Now the second Shatka, which is mainly from chapter 7 to 12, talks about Ishvara Surupa, the nature of the God. Ishvara Upasana. So the Upasana Yoga, which was started in chapter 6, it continues, but specifically with Ishvara Upasana. And finally, it talks about the Ishvara Kripa, grace of the God. So this is the Shatka 2. So the first Shatka is mainly talks about the Twam, or the individual. Second Shatka, which is Shatkas chapters from 7 to 12, talks about that, or the Ishvara. And the third Shatka loosely talk about the relationship. So the third Shatka is where it is not very much predominantly on the relationship, but it covers, but additional topics are also covered. For example, the different temperaments, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas is given, the Devasurika Sampatti. So other topics are also there, but loosely we can say that it is mainly talking about the Asi. So if you combine these 3, the Bhagavad Gita, the entire Bhagavad Gita could be visualized as an elaboration of the Mahavakya, Tattvamasi. So that's the thing. So with that, what we are going to do now is, we are going to get into the second Shatka. Second Shatka is chapter 6 to chapter 7. So this chapter 6 predominantly talks about the nature of Ishvara. We are going to see exactly the topic layout in a second. Chapter 8 is an exception, and it's a distortion from the original topic. We are going to see that. Chapter 8 is talking about the 2 types of mukti. One is Krama Mukti and the other one is Jivan Mukti. So chapter 8 doesn't necessarily fit into this particular classification. Chapter 9, Rajavidya Ragujaguhyam. It is definitely knowledge about Ishvara. So that definitely fits with this definition. Chapter 10 is again the Vibhuti Yoga. Sorry, the Vishwarupa Darshana. So chapter 10 and 11, Vishwarupa Darshana and Vibhuti Yoga. Naturally, that fits with this definition because Vibhuti means the glories of Ishvara. Vishwarupa Darshana means it is the universal form of Ishvara. So, and chapter 12 is Bhakti Yoga. That also actually covers with the devotion of God. So that second Shatka almost fit with this definition very well. This is the summary of the organization. So now let's see how this chapter is organized. So this chapter, chapter 7, has 3 major topics. First topic is Ishvara Swarupam, nature of Ishvara, Ishvara Upasana, the meditation of Ishvara, and Ishvara Kripa, the grace of the God. These are the 3 topics. Now, one thing is, we need to pause here and think. I think I already explained this many times in the class, why this is very important. Imagine, when you were born to this world, slowly you started understanding the people around you, the world around you, and you started formulating some ideas about nature, about the parents, about the world. They were primitive ideas. Of course, it has to be primitive ideas. We all thought that the earth was flat. We all thought that the sun is going around the sun. Even we thought that some kids thinks that, right? There is a rabbit in the moon. Those type of beliefs were there. As children, it is fun. So we had a worldview which was completely immature, which was completely childish at that point of time. At that mindset, we also had a view about God. Either through the parents or through somebody else, we had a God view, a childish worldview. But the interesting point is that as the time goes by, as you grow, what happened? Most of the kids believe in Santa Claus. But by teen, what is going to happen? They understand the real nature of the Santa. They may not say because they still want to get the gift, but they understand that. Like that, their worldview has changed. So was that Santa concept wrong? Absolutely not. It was probably the most interesting and most fun-filled thing for that childhood life. So you have a view about God, a view which is designed for the beginners. Now what happens? When you mature, when you learn, when you grow, your worldview has changed. We know that there is no rabbit in the moon. We know that Earth is moving around the sun. We know that a lot of things, right? But how many of us can truly say that our view about the God has changed or matured? If you ask a child, and if you ask a random adult, most of the times you won't find much variation in their definition. So you carry that childish view of the God. And when somebody say that, okay, I don't believe in that view, I don't believe in God, you hear that a lot. So the first question we need to ask that person is, what is that God you don't believe in? And listen to this sentence very carefully. When somebody say that, They don't believe in God. They are not dismissing the God, but they are only dismissing or not believing in their childish concept of the God. If they had studied the God in detail and then say that, okay, because of this reason I don't believe in, that is better. Suppose tomorrow I say that I don't believe in quantum mechanics. I just take a platform and go there and say that I don't believe in quantum mechanics. The world will laugh at me. Without me studying quantum mechanics, without understanding that quantum mechanics, if I say that I don't believe, it is childish from my side. Like that, when somebody say that if the God exists, he should come to me when I count 1, 2, 3. Isn't it also a childish belief? Thus, all these childish beliefs will be demolished, and a proper understanding of the God will be given through chapter 7, chapter 9, chapter 10, chapter 11, and chapter 12. So it is very important to understand this. And another thing is Ishvara Upasana. How do you meditate? How do you worship God? That's also important. And once you study these 6 chapters, a lot of you may understand our conventional way of worship and what we do. Is that the right thing? So, revolutionary chapters. And finally, Ishvara Kripa. A lot of us have misunderstanding about Ishvara Kripa. If you ask Ishvara Kripa, a lot of people say that all my relatives, all my neighbors are blessed by the God, not me. Swami Chinmayananda used to say, poor God, his aim is so poor, he's throwing this grace on me, but his aim is so poor, it falls to the neighbor's head. So he used to say that, joke that. So those type of doubts, what is Ishvara Kripa? What is the divine grace? How can you tap it? What exactly it is? Why I am not getting this grace? All these points will be clarified in the next 6 chapters. And my hope is we can cover 4 chapters in 2023 and the rest 2 in 2024. So most of the ideas we will be able to cover in 2023. Okay. So with that, let's proceed. So the next point is a little bit more details about this chapter. So 30 verses are there. So the first 1 to 3 is glory of the knowledge about God. The intent, Krishna is doing a little bit of marketing. Why I'm going to teach these glories of Ishvara. So that is topic number 1. Topic number 2, which is verse 4 to 12, most important verses, nature of God. 2 types of nature of the God is elaborated. One is the transcendent form of the God and the immanent form of the God. These are aha moments for a lot of people. So this is going to be very interesting topic. Third topic, which is the verse 13, it is the cause of bondage. Why we get bondage? Why we don't get to know Ishvara? Why we actually carried away by the world and not get connected to Ishvara? That is covered by verse 13. 14 to 19, it talks about the devotion. Devotion means not the devotion that we see people practice. The real devotion, a little bit, he talks about that. Verse 20 to 26, it talks about the Sakama Bhakti, devotion of for the material end. Meaning, you're a devotee, but you are not You're a devotee because of you wanted to know the God. You are a devotee because you need some help, either to cure some diseases or to get some money, etc. So that type of bhakti is discussed. And finally, the Nishkama Bhakti, the true spiritual devotee, is also discussed. So this is the layout of this chapter. So with that, we can go and see 3 verses. So let's start with the first verse. Anu, you may chant.
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Atha Saptamodhyayah Jnana Vijnana Yogaha. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Maya Saktamanah Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayah Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Jnasyasi Tachrunu.
Usually in Gita, the chapter starts with a question from Arjuna. Here in this chapter, without Arjuna asking the question, Krishna started giving the answers because he knew what exactly is the subject matter that needs to be taught. So he tells, Asamshayam samagram mam yatha nyasyasi tachrunu. Asamshayam samagram mam nyasyasi. Mam means me. Asamshayam means without any doubt. Samagram means complete. Asamshayam samagram mam nyasyasi. You will know me in my entirety. Tachrunu. So please listen. I am going to teach you something. I'm going to introduce myself to you, Krishna is saying. How? I'm not going to leave anything. I am going to tell the true nature of myself to you in its entirety. So the benefit of the chapter or the subject matter of the chapter is clearly indicated in these 2 lines. Asamshayam samagram yasyasi. That is the subject matter. You will be introduced to me in my entirety. That is the first point. And then, whatever benefit you get, right? You may have to follow some conditions. So the subject matter of the 7th chapter is me, Ishvara, the Lord of the universe. And as I said, like, we cannot love or connect with an entity or a person without knowing what exactly it is. So Krishna is saying that listen and know him completely. Samagram ma yasyasi. Now, is there any conditions or prerequisites or adhikaratvam to know the Lord? Yes. 3 things Krishna asked Arjuna. First one is Maya asakta manaha. Topic number 1. A mind that is completely absorbed in me or devoted to me. A person who is interested in money, his mind, where it will get absorbed? In money. Sleeping, he will be thinking about how to make the profit. So what happens? What exactly is your mind get completely absorbed? That will be your destination. For example, if your first priority, everything is your child. You want to see that child always. You want it to, that is your first priority. Whatever that occupies your mind, naturally that becomes your first priority. So if you want to know Ishvara in its entirety, don't keep it as a side business. Make it as a priority. Can you become rich if you don't put any effort? No. Can you gain knowledge without putting some effort? Richness, of course, you can get. Swami Chinmayananda used to joke. He say, your father-in-law is rich and you are shameless. That's another means to get rich. So that's another way. But if you want to really legitimately make money, you have to work hard. If you want to get a promotion, you have to work hard for it. If you want to gain knowledge, you have to work for it. So all of us want to get connected with Ishvara, and we don't want to put any effort. Everything else, movie versus study. Movie takes priority. No, we need movie. I'm not saying that we don't need movies or anything like that. You should be going to a cave. Not at all. But how your career becomes a priority, how your like a lover, his beloved becomes his priority, how a child becomes the priority of the mom, how a person attached to a sense object, how that becomes his priority. Some people, sports is the priority. When there is a football match, what they do? Drop everything and go there. Like that, make me as a priority. So your mind should be absorbed in me, and you should make me as a goal or a priority. That's number one. Then what? Yogam yunjan. Yogam yunjan. Yunjan means practice. Yogam means yoga. You practice yoga. So keep me as the destination, as the priority, and practice yoga. What does yoga means here? Don't think that it's only the asana. All the forms of yoga. All the forms of yoga means it could be karma yoga, it could be bhakti yoga, it could be hatha yoga, it could be dhyana yoga, it could be any yoga you can think. Which yoga you will practice at a point of time? That depends. Depends upon your maturity and your inclination. So whatever yoga that is needed, practice it. Yoga here can be loosely translated as spiritual practice. Don't say that I want to get God is my priority. I don't do anything. Some people do that, right? Money is their highest priority, but they cannot work hard. They don't do anything. That will not happen. So keep me as the highest priority and put effort, because yoga means yuj to connect with the God. So the practice, the spiritual practices will directly and indirectly make me connected with Ishvara. So practice yoga. So Maya Sakta Mana, the requirement number one, Yogan Yunjan, that is requirement number two. Then what? Madashraya, take refuge in me. What does that mean? Have faith in my words. Faith means not blind belief. Faith means give benefit of doubt to my words and put the effort. And then you don't get, you ask. So take refuge in me. Keep me as the priority. Do your practice, as I say, by believing in my words. Have faith in my words. And such people, asamshayam samagram mam yatha jnasasi. I am going to teach such people, for such people, I am going to teach how to know me in my entirety. This is the verse number one. Maya sakta manaha, yogan yunjan, then madashraya. These are the three conditions. Keep Ishvara as the highest priority. Practice yoga diligently and have faith in my words. If these three happens, do it. Faith is an interesting topic. It's not blind faith. Chapter 9 clarifies that. Chapter 9 says, like, faith is what? Something which is not yet proven. Otherwise, it's a reality. You cannot call it as a belief. So belief means something that you assumes to be true, which is subjected to correction upon verification. That's all we are saying. So when Krishna tells believe in me, you have to say, you have to look and see whether that belief is beneficial to me or is that going to put me down. And Krishna won't say anything that is going to put you down. So you have that freedom, put that test and take my word and practice this yoga. Definitely you will come to know me in its entirety. One more thing. Suppose Krishna say, you do all these practices, but you will come to know me when? Only in heaven. If you say that, what is the problem? Is that a verifiable belief? No, it's not a verifiable belief. It's a non-verifiable belief. Here, he tells, here and now you will come to know me. That's a big promise. That's a big difference. Right. So that's very important. So, Mayasaktamana Partha, O Partha, practice means get your mind absorbed in me. Yogan Yunjan, you practice yoga. Madashraya, take refuge in me. Because when you do that, what is going to happen? Asamshayam samagram mam yatha nyasyasi. So you are going to know me. Nyasyasi means know me. Completely know me. Please listen to that. So let's go to the second verse. So let's listen to the second verse.
Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyam yasheshatah yajñātvā neha bhūyonyat jñātavyam avashishyate.
Again, what is the scope of my teaching? What is the benefit of my teaching? Krishna clarifies that. This chapter's name itself is Jnana Vijnana Yoga. So he tells, Jnanam te aham savijnanam. To you, I am going to teach what? Jnanam and Vijnanam. What is the difference between Jnanam and Vijnanam? Jnanam means knowledge about Ishvara. Vijnanam means a knowledge that is supported by your own experience. Suppose I talk to you about Uttarkashi or Gangotri, that is Jnanam. You will gain knowledge. I can tell you that Gangotri is the place where Ganga originates. There is a beautiful temple of Ma Ganga is there. It is built by army. Next to that, there is beautiful Ganga flows. You need to go through these ways. You need to be careful about the landslide. All those details I can describe. Once I describe, a mental picture will be there in you. And if somebody asks you about Gangotri, you might be able to talk about Gangotri also. That's one thing. Vijnanam means what? Suppose you physically go there, physically see Gangotri, physically see the temple of Ganga. That means the knowledge you had it became your experience. So what I'm going to teach you is not just the jnanam, but the vijnanam. Vijnanam means visheshena jnanam. That's highest form of knowledge. I'm going to teach you. One more definition is there. Here, see, the Saguna Ishvara and Nirguna Ishvara, meaning the knowledge about Saguna Ishvara sometimes is called as Jnanam, and the knowledge about the transcendent nature of the Ishvara is called as Vijnana also. So there are two ways of explaining it, but I like the first way, the theoretical, meaning the knowledge, and then the knowledge backed up by the experience. So then he tells, idam, this, vakshyami. Vakshyami means I am going to tell you, asheshataha. Asheshataha means again complete. I am going to talk or take you to a journey which is not just the jnanam, but vijnanam also. I'm going to show you what I'm seeing. I'm not just going to describe what I'm going to see. Rather, I'm going to show you what I'm seeing. Shankaracharya tells, Krishna is saying that he sees this very clearly. He sees what he is speaking directly. And he is going to take Arjuna or all of us by following this path. You will see what I'm seeing. So that's what. Idam vakshyami means what I'm going to tell you. Idam means this, asheshataha. Jnanam and vijnanam, I'm going to talk. And then he tells what is the benefit. So the scope is jnanam and vijnanam. And then the benefit, he is saying, yet jnatva na iha bhuda anya jnatavyam avashishyati na avashishyati. So he tells yat jnatva, by knowing which. What exactly he is going to teach? Nature of Ishvara. Right? Nature of Ishvara. And who is Ishvara? I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you both. I'm going to not just teach you, I'm going to show you. And once yat jnatva, once you know that, then he tells there is nothing more here to be known. Jnatavyam avashishyati. There is nothing more to be known once you know this. Why? Because usually you know something to gain something or to experience something. And once you know Ishvara, there is nothing more you need to know to achieve something in your life. Right? Typically, you seek knowledge for artha, kama, and dharma. Artha means security. Kama means your pleasure. Dharma means your charity or the good deeds. These are the three goals we pursue. But once I know Ishvara, why am I doing security? Why am I seeking security? The very fact that I'm seeking security tells me that I'm not fully secure now. Right? When I feel insecurity, if I'm completely secure, of course I may use it, but I don't need to seek it. It's already in my hand. Why am I seeking happiness? I still lack something. I think that going to Switzerland or going to Hawaii is going to make me a little bit happier. That's what we think. So here he tells, once you know me, you are going to experience all forms of security, all forms of happiness. That is why he tells you don't need to know anything else. Second thing is, see, everything you see in this world looks totally different. The moon is different from the sun. The plant is different from the animal. So from a form wise, name wise, and from a characteristics wise, everything is different. So is there any underlying reality which is supporting all these things, right? Essence wise, is there is anything that supports all these different forms? If I need, for example, I see a golden chain, another golden ring, another golden bangle, another golden anklet. I wanted to understand what exactly is all these things. Then I need to know the gold. When I know the gold, everything else, I knew what exactly is the reality of the anklet, what is the reality of the bangle, what is the reality of everything else. So when I know that, everything else, meaning I understand the fundamental reality of everything. Krishna used this, means we were studying Mundaka Upanishad very recently, right, in the class. So this is pretty much similar to the question. Remember, Shaunaka went to Angiras, and what was the first question? Kasminno vijnade sarvamidam vijnadam bhavati. What is that fundamental things I need to know everything else? This is what similar thought. At that point of time, I said, like, by knowing Ishvara, don't think that you know everything else, right? After knowing the Ishvara, suppose somebody asks you to speak Russian, you may not be able to speak. That's not knowing everything else. You need to, everything that you need to know as a human being, you know. That's all. So, jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyamya sheshavaha yajnatva na iha bhuyo anyat jnatavyam avashishyati. This is a beautiful verse. One more verse. We can chant.
Manushyāṇāṃ sahasreshu kaśචිद्यतति siddhaye yatatāmapi siddhānāṃ kaśචિन्māṃ vetti tattvataha.
This verse, Krishna takes one reality. Manushyanam sahasreshu. Among the word thousand used here as a plurality, like billions of people or millions of people in the universe. Kaschit yathati siddhaye. Only a few people put effort to know Ishvara. I don't have to explain that factor to you. Right? Say 7 billion people. Out of that, how many people God is the priority? Only a handful of people. Very, very few set people, God or the spiritual path is the highest priority. So, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatadi siddhaye. Siddhaye here means the one who put effort or take this as a priority. And then he tells, Yatatam api siddhanam. Out of the thousands of people or millions of people who put effort, what? Kaschinmam veti tattvataha. Only a few. Rarely somebody will come to know me in my entirety. He tells self-realization or the moksha is not something that everybody is going to get easily. It is going to take effort. It is going to take time. So know that and understand that. So don't lose your hope and drop the book and run away. Among the thousands of people who studies physics, how many of you becomes Einstein? Maybe one. That doesn't mean that we should not study physics. Whatever physics we study, it will benefit us. So whatever you do in this path, it is going to help you. In the second chapter, Krishna made it very clear, right? But what did he say? Neha bhikramana shosti pratyavayo na vidyate solpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahadot bhayat. Whatever little you do, it is going to benefit you. So don't worry. Eventually, we all will reach there. But this is to give the reality, right? So suppose you practice Karma Yoga for a month and don't come back and say that, oh, I didn't get self-realization. The thing you need to notice, have you experienced some change in you? That's all. That doesn't mean that you won't get it also. You will get it. So that's the 3 chapters. This is the introduction about this particular teaching. And now we are going to, from next week, we are going to start the real nature of Ishvara, which is the most important and interesting topic. I know if you don't mind, you can chant these 3 verses once again. We can start with verse 1 and 3. Sorry, let me go to the first verse.
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha Atha Saptamodhyayah Jnana Vijnana Yogaha Shri Bhagavanuvacha Maya Saptamanaspatha Yogam Yunjanmadashrayah Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Jnasyasi Tachrunu Jnanam Teham Savijnanam Idam Vakshyamya Sheshatah Yajñatva Neha Bhuyonyat Jnatavyam Avashishyate Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschidyatati Siddhaye Yatataamapi Siddhanam Kaschinmam Vetti Tattvataha.
Okay. So summary is this chapter, meaning we talked about a few things. First thing we talked is, this is the second shatka of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the second set of 6 chapters. The first set of 6 chapters was focusing on the individual me, whereas the second set is focusing on Ishvara. The third set is focusing on the relationship. And this 6th chapter, the 3 topics are Ishvara Surupam, the nature of Ishvara. The second one is Ishvara Kripa. And the third one is Ishvara Upasana. These are the 3 topics covered. And Krishna opens up the chapter without being asked any question. He said, I am going to explain the real nature of myself to you completely. So you need to have 3 qualifications or requirements to understand this. One is, your priority should be me meaning not Mr. Krishna, but the God of the universe. Second thing is, you need to practice yoga, the spiritual practices, which was prescribed from chapter 2 onwards. And the third one is, you have to have some faith in my words. These 3, it is going to take you to the understanding of me completely. I'm going to explain not just the theoretical knowledge. I'm going to explain and show you practically my real nature completely. And know that this benefit is not easily achievable. Out of thousands of people, only a few people will try. And out of the thousands of people who try, only a few people reach the final destination. That is the summary. So we'll do the closing prayer and then we can go the Q&A. Anu, do you mind doing the Purnamada?
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.